What's good, y'all? We're back at it. I'm telling y'all, we're going to be weekly from now on. No more missing, no more sickness. I'm here if I'm sick. I know that. So this week, the NFL is starting to ramp up. It's getting hot out here. Camps are starting to start. People are starting to get mad at each other at practice. But first thing that we'd like to start with is James had a little segment he's going to head up. This should be pretty fun.
Yep. So a really cool thing I wanted to try to talk about with the boys was I find it interesting how we see these trades go down. It's not even just in the NFL, but in any sports where you're like, oh, he's traded for 3 first-round picks. Well, let's actually look back on those picks and see who these people actually turned out to be. It's kind of eye-opening how some of these people are they got some steals, and that's where we're going to begin with the Broncos and Seahawks trade with Russell Wilson. So I don't know if Nate, you want to start off with this one, kind of read off what they got, the Broncos and the Seahawks, and what we all think of that.
Yep. So we'll start with who the Broncos received in this trade, and they received Russell Wilson and a 4th rounder. I would try to pronounce his name, but I can't.
No, let's not do it.
And then the Seahawks on the return got what was a 1st rounder, which turned out to be Charles Cross, another 1st rounder, which turned out to be Devin Witherspoon of this year. Boy Mafe was a 2nd rounder. Derek Hall was another 2nd rounder this year. They also received Tyreek Smith, who was a 5th rounder. Noah Fant, Shelby Harris, and Drew Lock. And I think everybody can give their fair share of what you guys think, because I know who won this.
I think we'll start. I think it's probably pretty self-explanatory. Let's just say the Broncos got absolutely fleeced. So not only did they give up all those first rounds just to get Russell Wilson, the Seahawks ended up coming out with a better quarterback. First off, that was on their bench. Instantly took him to a near. I don't think anyone honestly could even predict that coming into the season. So that was crazy alone. But not only that, they caught Charles Cross, Devin Witherspoon, which are already 2 huge playmakers, are going to be on that team, let alone with all the plug-and-play pieces that they made. So I think this one's pretty easy. Broncos got fleeced by the Seahawks here.
Yeah, and going into this, a lot of people thought that the Broncos definitely won this, and of course they did, because we saw a whole different Russell Wilson than we've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
But the Seahawks also took hit for a couple of these things. Noah Fant was not looked at as that great of a tight end, and he's actually pretty good. Charles Cross was looked at as way too early of a pick.
Yeah,
I mean, he turned out to be one of the best linemen in the draft. So it's crazy looking back at it now. And yeah, Drew Lock, we thought he was going to be the starter. We thought he was going to run the show. We thought we were going to see a tanking Seahawks, but that is not what turned out to happen. Mm-hmm. I mean, we saw Geno absolutely turn it up. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
One last thing I'll say is when this trade happened, you kind of expected the Seahawks to clean slate and we're rebuilding this franchise, and you thought the Broncos were going to make that leap to the playoffs. What ended up happening was the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. The Seahawks end up making the playoffs. Broncos fall to, I think, 6-11. And then the Broncos the following year, which was this summer, traded the Saints for a 1st and 2nd round pick for Sean Payton. So kind of seems like the Broncos are in more of a little rebuilding mode than the Seahawks out there to trade.
I mean, they're desperate right now.
Yeah, and the last thing I did want to touch on is I do like to talk about the crossover in between sports sometimes. And once again, we see this type of thing where in the NBA, players request out, and it usually doesn't work out for that team that requested the trade. Well, you see in the NFL, it's a completely different story. Russell Wilson wanted this trade, and turned out the Seahawks fleeced in this scenario. So It's crazy how much different the two sports really are. So, yeah, it's the Owners League. I'll take this trade. So we got a couple more trades for y'all. The Lions and Rams. So the Rams, they received Matthew Stafford, and the Lions get 3 picks that turn into 6 players. So Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, a dude I can't pronounce for show, Broderick Martin, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, Joshua, and Pascal. So it's a tough one for me because coming off of this, the Rams get the Super Bowl. So if I had to pick a winner, it'd probably be the Rams for right now. But shoot, the Rams won this trade because I don't see the Lions win the Super Bowl and with this core. So
I'm not gonna lie, I think this is one of the most even trades you'll see when it comes to like making decisions as a franchise. Not only, I mean, yeah, like they did give up a decent amount, yeah, and like you said, two different directions. One team's trying to rebuild, one team wants to win it now. The Rams gave up a lot, but they got a Super Bowl. At the end of the day, that's what we're all aiming for with our team. So you can't really say it's a loss if you get a chip out of it. And I can't say it's a loss too much for the Lions because they got rid of Stafford, but I thought Goff played an amazing end of the half last year. I think a lot of people are underrating him. I think he's going to play nice this year. And he got all these key pieces now. Like, I really think the Lions are going to be underrated. I've been talking about this a little bit, but, like, Jameson Williams from Alabama, and bro's a dog. I mean, he's having some, off-field issues right now. But once he's on that field, he's gonna be really good. Now you have all these young players ready to step in. I think the Lions are on a really good uptrend for this upcoming year. So I want to say it's a pretty even trade for you.
And I hate to do it one more time, but this trade actually kind of just dinged in my mind. Kind of reminds me of, it's going to kind of sound weird, but when the Lakers got Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So, like, the Lakers, they gave away a lot of their young core, but they got a ring out there. So it's very similar. And now we look back in kind of the same scenario. Stafford gets hurt a lot. Davis gets hurt a lot. It's kind of weird to me, but yeah.
This trade cost the Bengals a Super Bowl, so that's literally all
I didn't think about that.
all I need to say.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do this next one. It's going to be the Chiefs and the Dolphins trade for. So the Dolphins received Tyreek Hill, and the Chiefs received Trent McDuffie, Sky Moore, Darian Kennard, Josh Williams, and Shamari Connor. Just the outlook on this is it's kind of a dub for both sides. The Chiefs obviously proved that they don't need Tyreek Hill to win the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is a magician and can kind of do it with whoever he has. But Tyreek Hill, on the other hand, he was able to put up career highs in passing yards. So they both succeeded in their own ways. Obviously, I think Tyreek would love to have a Super Bowl, but the Chiefs didn't want to pay him that money. So in my mind, the Chiefs did end up winning this trade because they got the Super Bowl and didn't have to pay that receiver. So
I think Sky Moore is so I'm still holding out a little bit of hope for Sky Moore. I'll look into the camera when I say this. Grace, if you're watching this, I almost named my kid Sky because of Sky Moore. I think that's a pretty cool name. Still holding out hope for the boy.
Sky Snavely.
Nice name.
Trent McDuffie's a pretty good young corner.
Yeah.
One of the better slots, and he's, like I said, really young.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I think, and this is another one of those win-win trades. I mean, Dolphins got a really good player in Tyreek Hill to pair with Waddle, both similar players and really hard when the ball's in their hands to defend. So I'm not gonna lie. I really like what the Dolphins did by getting them. I think they have a really solid offense now. But like you said, the Chiefs got a chip again. They got a chip, and I think Trent McDuffie and Sky Moore alone, those two players are still really solid. So I'm going to go with another fair trade for both ends out here.
For this trade, I think it all comes down to money. So that's why I think the Chiefs did win in this, because they didn't have to pay him that money and they still won the championship.
Which is, agreed. Yeah, and this trade, man, we'll talk about it a little bit. So in this trade, we're talking about my old boy Deshaun Watson. We love him on the field. So the Browns traded, I believe it was 3 first-round picks. The next couple of years, we've seen 2 of them already, and then they got a bunch of like second and swabs, so a whole bunch of different stuff. But basically, the Browns received Deshaun Watson. The Texans received Kenyon Green, Damian Pierce, Will Anderson, Tank Dell, Xavier Hutchinson, Brandon Hill, and 2024 third and fourth. And just kind of like it's noted here, I think it's too early to judge the trade, but I will say this upcoming year will completely move my thoughts about who won or lost this trade. Right now, I don't think there's really a price tag. I don't think what the Texans did receive, besides maybe Will Anderson or like too much of a value for giving up a franchise quarterback. But at the same time, is Deshaun still a franchise quarterback? And we all know I love the Browns, core to my heart, but I think this year is going to be a big prove it all to see who wins this trade. So right now, I really don't have like too much win or loss on this one yet.
Speaking into existence, though, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have too many thoughts, but let's see it play out. I like to see what Dameon Pierce does this year. If they can take advantage of that early running back with the quarterback kind of mold they got going on. I'd love to see Will Anderson play. Tank Dell's interesting name. So yeah, I got.
One thing I'll say about this, when you kind of look at the players the Texans received for Deshaun Watson, when that first came out, Kyler kind of alluded to it a little. We thought, wow, they're giving up a lot for Deshaun Watson. But after all the dust settled, it ended up not being too bad. I know the Texans ended up swapping picks and trading for to get Will Anderson. So the Cardinals are going to get their first round pick next year. That was the Browns the following year. So, like I said, when the dust settles, it's not as bad as it looked initially.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people have a lot of hate on Deshaun Watson. I understand from the situations. But I remember when this trade was coming out, it was really huge at the time that he was on the market. I remember not even just the Browns, but I remember the Falcons were like the landing spot for Deshaun at one point. And then I remember literally in one day completely flipped, and I remember the Browns finalizing it. And as my team as the Browns, we've never had a good quarterback growing up. Like for me in the last 20 years, never really had that good quarterback. Baker was a flash, didn't turn out to be good. So yeah, I'm really excited about it, but I think to really judge this trade, it's going to really come down to this year, because it's either we got a franchise quarterback or we're going to have to rebuild real soon.
And if he's not the franchise, literally every single dollar is guaranteed.
Yep. It's going to be a rough next 5 years.
Well, I'm just saying that's a whole nother factor. You got to.
Hey, but shout out DTR, though. We got a little mini Deshaun Watson on the bench. I know y'all seen the practice. A little thing. Where's the dog?
Yeah, that quarterback room is pretty crazy. They all kind of mimic each other. Well, all right. So that, like I had started us off with, the NFL season's ramping up. So we're gonna put our betting hats on a little bit. Try to give y'all a little bit of fantasy advice, if you will. All these odds are from FanDuel. We're not sponsored, so bet wherever you want. Come get us, FanDuel.
Hey, but use my promo code. Kyler Winters. No, just
But all right, we'll start at the top of the league, alphabetically wise. So we'll start with the Cardinals. They are 4.5s. I went under.
I put them as actually a lock for me. So like, if you're a bettor, whenever you hear lock, this is going to be my lock. I have the Cardinals as easing under, probably the worst team in the league this year. And I'll give my thoughts just really quick. They don't have a very good offense. They don't have a very good defense. Kyler Murray, your franchise quarterback's out for 6 to 8 games from the get-go. I think it's going to be a real tank this year. They traded back from the draft. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, how I like their offseason move moving back, just preparing for the following year, because this year it's going to be a tank. It's going to be probably, I'd see 2 to 4 wins, somewhere in that range. So I'm going to go with an under. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on this lock.
I'm not going to lie, I had over, but listening to you, just because 5 wins, I feel like even if you are a bad team, that is still possible. Because coaches don't want to tank. Like, that's just, players don't want to tank. Like, players are still going to play. But yeah, you're right.
The only thing I will say is because of what they did in this last offseason, moving back draft capital for the following year, it really just feels like the Cardinals are kind of looking as like, see what they can possibly do this year, but they don't really have a lot to work with. I mean, they lost a corner, they lost some linemen. They don't have a lot of depth.
Yeah, not having your quarterback for half this season, that definitely said.
And it's even hard coming back from mid-season.
And I know what you're saying there, because 5 wins is 5 wins, and it's an NFL team. But imagine you're without Kyler Murray, you're racking Colt McCoy, and you're going into week 7 and you're 0-6. Are you gonna rush Kyler Murray out? Probably not. So it's a tough. It is a good lock for Kyler. So I agree with that.
Adam, you guys kind of covered all the points. Yeah, I'm with under as well.
Under. All right. We're on to the Falcons. 8.5. So that kind of seems high to me. So I went under.
Yeah, I also put this as another lock of mine, was an under. don't get me wrong. I really like what the Falcons did in the offseason by getting some of this defense ramped up as well as getting Bijan Robinson. But they're still like 8.5 wins is a lot for, I think, not the Cardinals, the Falcons right now. I think 8.5 is a lot. I could see them finishing somewhere between the 6 to 8 range, but I just think any over that's a little rough for them because they don't really have that franchise QB. They're coming in with a second-year sophomore, Desmond Ritter, taking the stand. So it really does depend on how he plays, but I think they're going to be decent, but I don't think they're going to be playoff contending. So I'm going to go with a lock on the under here.
I think a lot of the NFC South teams are honestly a bit boosted just because their division isn't very good. But
I mean,
I'm
think,
also going to say the under.
yeah, I think when like Nate said, the NFC South, those are all to me around 500 teams, and 500 is 8-1. So 7-8 wins seems reasonable for me for the Falcons. So I'm still with the under with that.
Did you guys see the report today that Bijan Robinson is the third string as of right now?
Yeah, but I think after preseason, he'll be
he'll
definitely be one.
I was gonna say don't read too much into it, but it was just kind of like the NFL being the NFL. Like, no, this rookie, he's still third on our charts, but they do got a deep running back room, so watch out for the run game. That's probably what FanDuel's thinking. So, but all right, on to the Ravens. We're sticking with the birds here. A lot of birds in this first early segment, but 10.5. I went under. I think it's a tough division, and if I had to pick the two top teams, I mean, we'll get to it, but Browns and Bengals for me. So I think just because of that, I pick under.
And this is also, I know I picked the first 3 teams as locks, and I'm sorry, guys, but I'm going with another under here as a lock for me. And I'll give my reasoning just really quick. I think, like, almost on the same boat with you, Dom, I think the top 2 teams in the AFC North this year, if I were to predict it early, are going to be the Bengals and Browns. I think the Browns are really going to surprise some people this upcoming year about what they're really going to do, especially under the new defensive coordinator. I've been watching a lot of videos with him, and he looks really solid. But the one thing I would say about the Ravens, they definitely got better, too. They're a solid squad, but I really feel like they're an injury-pro team. I mean, they have an injury-prone running back. LeBron's coming off an injury. OBJ's coming back from an injury. I think there's a lot of questions in the air to put them at a 10.5 or over. So, and there's, like you said, it's a tough division. I honestly could see those 3 Browns, Bengals, or Ravens being over 10.
Right.
It's hard to put a certain scenario, but with that also that many good teams, you're going to play those teams twice a year. So I don't know. I'm going to put them as a lock under 10.5. I think they end around 8 or 9 this year with the wins, if I were to predict.
I think 11 wins is just too high. Too high in the AFC. They could finish. They possibly could finish around. They could finish with 11 wins, 10, 11 wins. But I just feel like with how stacked the AFC is, and especially the AFC North, it's just, and Lamar coming back from an injury is big.
Yeah, I agree. So there's a lot of questions when it comes to injury with the Ravens. So I think just be safe to put that as a lock for an under for now. That's just my thoughts.
You have under, James?
The Ravens?
Yeah.
I got them at 10 wins, so yes.
Okay. All right. So on to the Bills. The Bills are 10.5. I have over. This is one of my locks. So I know it's a tough number to really be too critical on, but I see 12 or 13. So a little backstory for me is my whole family's Browns fans. I was telling my grandpa, my grandpa agreed with me. He was a big Josh Allen guy. Take Josh Allen, like I was early on the throw power, all that, and I'm still riding with my boy. So give me the over, lock it in.
One thing I'll say about the Bills is the Bills, I think, have the chance to. It's not a prove it year as in disband the organization, but I think it's Josh Allen's year to prove it that he's, top 2 quarterback. I think right now he's being overshadowed by Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. Right. So I like the over here because I think it's a Josh Allen MVP type season for him.
I agree.
Especially in that hard division.
And I agree as well because I know with how their playoffs ended last year, that organization, was just really in shambles. I remember that Stephon alone was just really heated. He didn't get the ball very much in the playoff. So, yeah, I like this as an over. If you're picking a team, they have a solid offense and defense. I think it is not like you said prove it year, but I think it is like an explosion year for Josh Allen. I can see him making a name even bigger name.
There's another one I had under, but I guess I am in agreement now with the over. They're a great regular season team, but when it comes to really what matters, they don't ever show up. They don't.
They coming with the hot takes right here, throwing shots.
All right. We're gonna go to the next team, the Panthers. They are 7.5. I gave them an over. This is actually one of my locks. Might sound crazy, but I think between bringing in kind of a game manager, I'm not saying he's gonna kill it, but their defense is pretty nasty.
Yeah.
It's a legit defense. They brought in Adam Thielen. That's a couple red zone touchdowns for you right there. Just between many things, I think it is over in the weak NFC. So, yeah, lock that in for me.
Again, back to my point about the NFC South teams all kind of being at that 500 mark. I see them getting 8-9 wins and potentially winning their division.
Mhm.
I think they have the perfect amount of young, great players, especially on that defense. They have a great offensive line. They have a lot of veterans. When you get people like Adam Thielen, Brian Burns on the defense. That's Brian Burns, right?
Yeah, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the
Yeah, on the defense. So you kind of have that mix of a young core and veteran leadership to, get over the hump against that weak division.
Yeah, I think, like everyone said, I really think that this is arguably the best team in the NFC South, and I really think that they're going to win their division. And if a rookie comes in and does that, that's big. That really is.
And I don't know. I think 7.5 is literally this was actually a hard one to bet for me. I almost would feel like avoiding this one because like you guys said about the division, but the rookie quarterback as well. I think Bryce Young, he's definitely pro ready. I think he was probably the most pro ready if it wasn't CJ Stroud coming out of the draft. But yeah, 7.5, I'm right on the boat with all these 500 teams. I think it's hard to bet, but I guess we'll take it over for now, but I could also see it be right on that 7 mark as well, so I don't know.
I'll do one more crossover for y'all. The Panthers are my Kings this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we're going to have Nate take these next two, his opinion first, so he's not falling in the trap of our opinions.
Yeah. I feel like Nate's been a little falling under our persuasion. So you
guys have a lot of good points.
we do.
We'll start with the Bears. They're at 7.5. I'm gonna say the over. I kind of like Kyler. I'm a big Justin Fields believer. I understand that he doesn't have a lot of. I believe he's like 5-20, which isn't great, but the situation around him has only gotten better year to year. Aaron Rodgers not being in the division anymore really helps. I think the Vikings. The Vikings, I think it really comes down to the Bears and the Vikings on who's going to win that division. I think the Packers are going to be not very good. And the Lions, I don't know. It might be a three-headed race. But I think the Bears will win the division.
Yeah, and I'm right up with you with the 7.5 over. I really think the Bears are going to step up this year. I'm a Justin Fields believer, obviously he's from OSU, but not even just that. I think his running ability really shown off last year. And he got new linemen, some new receivers. I think he has a really good piece to have a little bit of a breakout year for that 8 wins or over. So I really think the Bears are going to I think they're going to hit their over, but to win the division, I think that's one of the other divisions that are wide open. If I were to say, I like the Lions. Goff had a really good end of the year. I think they're going to surprise some people, but like you said, the Vikings are also reigning that. So I think there's going to be a three-headed stone who's going to win that division, but for now, I'm going to put them at the over.
I think me and Dom are kind of on the same point here. I don't believe in Justin Fields yet. I'm definitely going to be hammering the under on this. I don't think the Bears get to 8 wins. I see him at that 6-5 range, honestly. I just don't think Justin Fields has proved it, at least to me, that he's a quarterback that you're down 6 points in a 2-minute drill that's going to get you down the field and win you the game. And ultimately, time after time, we see this in the NFL that's what you need to win these close games. I mean, the Vikings won 8 games last year, and they're one-score games. It's like, is Justin Fields going to give you the same thing Kirk Cousins does in the 2-minute drive? For me, that's just a no, so that's why I'm going with the under here.
And maybe this feels a little more personal to me because it's my division, so that's probably why. But just really quick, name me some Bears defensive players.
So we got Adrian Amos.
Okay.
Eddie Jackson.
So two
Safeties.
safeties that Eddie Jackson's pretty washed. I'm just saying, bro.
We have some rosters.
I'm just Kyle Fuller. Okay. I'm just saying, like, the Bears, to me, are last in the division just from prediction-wise. If we're going to predict.
Over Packers? I mean, under the Packers?
Packers have been good for a very long
They
time.
have a solid roster with a quarterback that was under.
And I can name you some Packers defensive players. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so what I'm saying is don't fall in love with the Justin Fields hype too much. I know it's easy for all of us because we are Ohio State fans here, and there's a lot to like about Justin Fields. I'm not even, like, saying that Justin Fields is, like, I'm not even on the same wavelength as James. I think he's going to be good.
Hold up. Let me go.
But I think
I just looked up some of this, the defense. I'm sorry, you Bears fans. Y'all actually made some really good moves on defense. Not only did you get Trey Edmonds, you got Edwards, you got Juwan Brisker, who was a dog as a safety. You know what?
You just looked it up.
Yeah, now I'm looking it up, and I just remembering all these trades. Y'all made some big moves.
and we
You know what? If you're a betting fan, maybe avoid this, but that's all it is.
but he's bringing up defense. I'm talking about offense.
Yeah, I'm talking about offense, too. Offense is dog for the Bears, it looks like, on paper.
All right, so you're talking about
And I forgot they signed 2 really good middle linebackers in the offense.
okay. So let's even flip it to the offense for a second. Outside of DJ Moore and
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney,
David Montgomery.
they got rid of Nikhil Harry. I mean that was their third.
They got
string.
Montgomery doesn't play.
They got an upgraded line.
You're right.
They got an upgraded line. That alone is going to let Justin Fields be able to run more. But not only that, yeah.
I watched Saquon Barkley play quarterback for the New York Giants against the Chicago Bears last year, and he still won.
Yeah, and guess what? How this is a new year. The new year. I was middle linebackers just smack down on it.
All right, man. But I wish I could almost just switch one of my locks because
Yeah, I mean, I'm locking this in.
that's how confident I'm here. We'll look back at the end of the year. This will be all fun and games when the Bears are sitting at 5 wins and the Bears are talking about the 90s Bears still and all that. So then-
I hope I'm wrong because, I mean, I'm a Ohio State fan. I love Justin Fields, but if I'm putting my money where my mouth is, I'm betting the under. It's just simple as that.
yeah.
Bear down, y'all.
Doesn't make sense. Maybe if you're betting advice, don't bet this team this year. That's been my best advice for you.
But this is also why it wasn't one of my locks.
Yeah, so it wasn't a lock. So which is
All right, but getting into one of my locks, we're going to the Cincinnati Bengals, over 11.5. All right. So knowing the competitor that Joey B is, and the recent updates about his injury, saying that he should be ready for week 1, that is going to be huge. Just in terms of like the offensive talent that we have, I don't think there's very many teams in the NFL that can score as many points as us. And if we're firing on all cylinders very early into the season, like I was looking at who we play earlier just to refresh my memory. I mean, outside of like the Chiefs, the Bills, and there's really only a handful more teams that like I was like I'm actually gonna watch out for. But other than that, we're too talented of a team to lose to mediocre teams.
Yeah.
And that we play a lot of mediocre teams, and it really just comes down to like if we have a hot start, I think 12 is like that's the perfect number to aim for.
And that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I look-y agree with you, Nate. As much as I'm in this division and I'm a Browns fan, I think the Bengals are arguably probably the best offense. Not arguably, I think they are.
Outside the Bengals and the Chiefs, and I guess you can put the Bills in the AFC in that conversation. Like those are the elite offense.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing at all. I think the Bengals will probably be the one that probably end up taking the division. I think the Browns will be right behind them, but I think and over at 12 wins, because I do think the Bengals have a little bit easier of a schedule too. I think that alone, plus their offensive weapons, they should be able to succeed that easily. So I agree with you.
I took an under, and I'm kind of pulling teeth here. I'm talking 11, maybe
Yeah,
10.
that's kind of where I'm at.
So, if anything, due to injuries and, it's the NFL, just give me the under, and it's not a lock of mine. So.
For me, I think all 4 teams in that division all fall in that 9, 10, or 11 games. I don't think anybody in that division gets to 12 wins, so that's why I'm going to go an under here. I do think the Bengals end up winning the division, but it's just they're all beating each other up, and it's going to be
To me, a blood
tiebreakers when those last two games come rolling around. So it's under for me.
I need a hammer. We're going over.
I also kind of agree with your guys' points too. Like, division is so tough. We're playing them twice a year each game. That's literally 6 games already. That's going to put you around that 10 mark. You would have to win out. I don't know. It's going to be a tough year for the AFC North. But I guess that kind of brings us into the next point with the Browns over under at 9.5. And I love you Brown fans, but if I'm giving you betting advice, I wouldn't bet this at all. I think the Browns could easily be over this, but I could also see them being under this. It also puts us on the headstone of Deshaun Watson. Not only do we have a very, very solid offense now, we have damn near an elite defense, I think, coming on the way. But like you said, to win games, you got to score the ball. I think Deshaun Watson's going to have a really good year, but it's also his prove-it year. So if we're doing betting advice, I would have just avoid this, but I'm going to take the over just because that's my team. But like they already explained, our division's insanely hard this year. I think it's going to be a lot of very close games. A lot of these games you're going to see come down to literally like the last 3 minutes of the game. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of hard to bet this one.
Yeah. And I think we saw a Browns team last year that, unlike the Vikings, didn't pull out them close games, but they were always close.
Mm-hmm.
So are we going to see a whole different 2-minute team? Are we going to see – so that's too hard to tell. I wouldn't bet this line either, but give me the over.
I think I'm going to take the over too. I think that this is a make it break it year for a lot of people in that organization. If they don't make the playoffs, there's going to be probably a clean house. Yeah, but you also have to keep Deshaun Watson, so I don't know. I just think like if they don't make the playoffs, I think Stefanski's out of there. Even though he is, he brought success to the Browns. It's just you're in win it now mode.
We're too talented of a team to miss this year.
Yeah, win it now mode.
It really does, but like it all comes down. Like I can only imagine the weight that Deshaun has on his shoulders just because how much like he literally like is gonna have to like control this team this year. Because we have all the weapons. Like this team is really like if Deshaun, like you said, returns like a top 10 quarterback, they could make a deep push in the playoffs just because of how like on paper how good our team is. But like Dom said even a couple weeks ago about that clinch, and it's with the Browns. You always look good on paper, but do you prove it on the field? And it's also another thing you got to think about. So betting advice, I would avoid this, but if you're doing a bet, take the over. That's what my thoughts are.
I'm kind of with you guys. I think they're at that 9-10 range.
Yeah.
The next one we got is the Cowboys. FanDuel has them set at 9.5. This is actually a lock for me. I'm going to hammer the over. We saw a Cowboys team that I think finished 12-5 last year.
Yep.
Their defense is probably, in my eyes, the top 2 or 3 defenses in the league.
Yeah.
The NFC as a whole is weak, and they didn't finish first in their division, so they're not going to be playing first-place teams.
Right.
They're talented all over the board. The question marks, I think, me and Kyle have for him as that QB, but Dak will still win you games.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it year in and year out. They're always a great regular season team, so this for me is a huge lock for the over.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Yeah, I don't got much more to add on to it. They're too talented of a team. Even if you hate Dak Prescott, I mean, even if he plays mediocre, I think 10 is that's the perfect number.
I 100% agree with everything that James just said. They're too talented a team to even want to hammer any type of under for. But yeah, playoff success, I don't know. I've seen enough of Dak. He's not it. But sorry to make y'all mad. Yeah, I'll take the over for now, but not big on Dak.
Yeah. Well, our next team is the Broncos, so 8.5. We might defer a little bit. I took the under. I don't know what y'all think. It's so tough. Once again, I wouldn't bet this because who knows what we're seeing from Russell Wilson. But give me the under. I think, like I said a couple weeks ago, I think they'll finish last in their division. So
For me, this is actually going to be a surprise. I also wouldn't bet this, but if you're feeling risky, I would actually push the over on this. I think the Broncos have the best home field advantage. Their fans are great, but just because of the conditions they play in, and they have, again, one of the best defenses in the league. They were in, I think I look at a stat, like 8 of their losses were one-score games last year.
Yeah.
So if Sean Payton and Russell Wilson can kind of get over that hump and just have this offense provide a little more life than it did last year, you can see them winning, 3-4 more games than they did the year before when they only won 6.
And I could also see that happening too. Russell was a top 5 quarterback when that trade went down. Like, everyone thought they were going to be instant playoff contenders with him on the field, but obviously it was a fluke season. I think by getting Sean Payton as a coach, I think that's going to definitely change a lot of the culture that they had from last season. It should revamp them a little bit. Like James said, I would avoid this bet as well, but if you were to take it, I probably would go with an over for this year.
I'm in disagreement. I'm gonna take the under. I just think we just saw Russell Wilson come off his worst season, and then to get a head coach that you traded a bunch of picks for that is coming out of the booth and not even on out of the field.
2 receivers out for the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really do think they could push for that 8 to 9 mark, but if I was going to put my money on this, I'm taking the under.
I wouldn't even put my money on this. This is too many question marks for a team like this. Like James said, it's a risky bet to take the over, but
Right.
it is what it is. Let's ride.
I'll head up these next 2 since it's my division. The Lions. So this is 9.5, by the way, and this is an over for me. I think this is the Vikings' biggest competition. I watched all Lions games last year, surprisingly, and I think they just got even better. So we're going to see a better defense. I love their coach, and yeah, so I took the over, which seems kind of crazy, but the NFC is weak, and that is our biggest competition.
I agree with you, Nam. I really like the Lions. I'm high on them this year, just not only because of how much they improved their defense, getting some signings, and with I really like the rookie last year. What was his name? Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I think the Lions are really going to surprise a lot of people this year. Jared Goff is coming off one of his best plays to end the season last year. The last 8 games, I think he was like a top 3 quarterbacks in like fantasy points. So I think the Lions really are going to be a shocking team right up there with the Vikings fighting for that number 1 spot. Jameson Williams comes back week 6. That alone is going to be a huge upgrade to pair with Amon St. Brown or whatever. Son Ross. Sorry, I said the name wrong, but yeah, I'm gonna put the over for the Lions. I think they're gonna finish right at that 9 to 11 mark if I were to predict it now. So I'm gonna take the over.
Once again, this is definitely one I would not bet, in my personal opinion, but if I was, I think I'm going to take the under just because I think 10 wins is a lot. And I know the Lions did just come off like one of their better seasons in recent memory, but at the end of the day, we are talking about the Detroit Lions. The Vikings, and like I'm a big believer in the Bears, so I really think it's going to be like, if I had to really go with it, it's either Vikings, Bears 1, and then kind of Lions are at that 3 spot. But I have a different.
No, I agree. I think it's like that 3-headed monster. Like, which team's going to just have the breakout again? Are the Vikings going to repeat it? Are you going to see like a Bear or Lions team really step up and like become a name in that like a really big name in that division? So I don't know. I'm right up with you, Nate. But
because I think they honestly all finish around.
They could, yeah.
And that 9.5 spot.
Yeah. I 100% agree. I wouldn't bet this, but my bet would probably be over for the Lions. Just I'm playing them this year, so if you got to pick.
It's a hard line, man. I think they finished with 9 wins last year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a little harder schedule, I assume.
Yeah.
I guess I'd go over, but I see them just at 9-10 wins.
I agree.
Being sneak in. I think they'd get into the playoffs this year, being a wild card team, but I don't think they dethrone the Vikings.
I think this is the line that's gonna finesse a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so the Packers are 7.5, and I went over, boys. I think that the Steelers and the Packers are a lot alike. They have been good for a long time, and they're just always good. And I'm not saying they're always at least mediocre. So I just see over. I don't see them not having 8 or 9 wins. I just don't see a world. They still got a crazy good defense, which on paper looks good. Didn't play great last year, but yeah, when the Packers and Vikings play, throw it out the window, just like you would the Browns and Steelers, Bengals and Steelers. Throw it out the window because you never know.
I'm not gonna lie. I had this team actually as a lock. I just changed it not too long ago, but I'm going with the Packers under here. As much as I think their defense is so good, it's Jordan Love's first year coming in as a starter. He looked good when they did put him in when A-Rod got hurt, like half a game. He came in and actually played really solid. But I don't see Jordan Love producing what Aaron Rodgers did with those receivers on the field right now currently. I think their offense is low-key kind of on a weakish end, to be honest, coming in with a quarterback which is just getting his feet wet as a starter. It's hard to bet this one, but I'm going to definitely take the under. I think they finish around that 5-7 mark just because of the offense not being super good. But I think their defense will hold them up on some games to get them the dub. So
I think Aaron Rodgers covered up a lot of holes in this team.
Last year?
I'm gonna go with the under. Not last year, but just like the last couple years. Like he has been the difference between them actually being
Right.
a okay team and a team that's competing in the playoffs.
I respect it.
Yeah, this being Jordan Love's first like actual season to start, I think that's asking a lot. And like we've already talked about the division enough. We've already hammered it home. Like this, not necessarily would be like the best teams competing in the division, but it's gonna be a competitive division.
Mhm.
And I don't see how the Packers are gonna do better than a few of these other teams in.
I respect it. James, if you had to pick.
I'm gonna go under on this. I'm actually surprised that line is that high.
Yeah.
Because I honestly thought it'd be at like 5.5, and I was like, well, I could kind of see the over, but
Yeah.
I'm not seeing them breach 8 wins this
Mhm.
year. I just don't see it happening.
Fair enough. The Texans, they are 6.5. I went under. I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. It's a young team, and to me, I don't see them reaching 7 wins in any scenario for me.
I'm with you on that, though.
Yeah.
I like the Texans, especially what they did the last. I love the players they did grab with the Will Anderson and my boy C.J. Stroud, OSU. I think they have he's probably, in my opinion, not even just being biased here. I think C.J. Stroud was the most pro-ready quarterback coming out of college just because of the system that he was put in college. I think just fits really well going over to the NFL. But yeah, I think there's still a lot of missing pieces. Yeah, they have really solid pieces, but they don't have enough right now to really make a competing thing. I think C.J. Stroud's gonna have a decent rookie year, but he's also gonna have some flaws. Just trying to get his feet wet in the NFL. So I think I'm gonna put it under here as well. I see him finishing right around 5 or 6 wins if I were to pick.
All in agreement there. This next one, the Colts, I have actually an over. I see a little Ewing theory potential here. If you don't know what the Ewing theory is, Patrick Ewing left the Knicks, got hurt for the Knicks, and the Knicks just blossomed and ended up winning a lot of games. I think we could see the same thing here without a Jonathan Taylor. I think we could see a team that has a lot to prove, and we could see a team that's just hungry. And I'm not even talking about their quarterback play. I'm talking about the rest of the roster. So
I'm gonna get over. I actually put this as one of my locks, and I'm gonna go with the under here for a 6.5 at the Colts. Don't get me wrong, I know James disagrees with me, but I freaking love Anthony Richardson. I think he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks, but with at the same time being one of the best physical quarterbacks in the league, I feel like. I think there's gonna be a lot of growing pains coming day one as a starter on that roster. They're not very deep. There's already a lot of questions when it comes to the front office about decisions that are being made right now. I feel like their offense is pretty lackluster. Their defense isn't super high tier. I just don't see them making a lot of wins, especially having a rookie quarterback that has a really unique play style to him, especially for the first year. I think they could be good in the next 2 years, but for this year, I'm definitely going to put them as one of the lower teams in the league, right around the Cardinals. I'm going to put them around 3 to 4 wins, so I'm hammering the under here.
Yeah,
Lock.
that was actually one of my locks too. I wrote a few notes in here, and just for starters, the Colts offense is honestly pretty trash. I think we can all admit that. Their offensive line used to be really good. It's a shell of its former self now. I was going through their depth chart earlier just to reassure myself about everything. Their wide receiver corps consists of Michael Pittman Jr., who we would say
He's good.
He's pretty good. Mo Alley Cox, who's a young tight end. He's okay. And that's it.
Alec Pierce is okay.
That's literally it.
They don't have many weapons, and with Jonathan Taylor requesting,
That's
could
why I
he
was
be out
saying.
for the year? I was like, Anthony Richardson, he wasn't even like the best quarterback in like college. Like he has a really good like unique play style with the way he can run and has that arm that could cannon it 80 yards. But I think as a rookie quarterback coming into the league, we've seen it with other quarterbacks. It's going to be some growing pains for that Colts team because they don't have the backbone of talent to support him yet on the team. So it's honestly probably one of my favorite locks that I've said so far. I'm hammering them.
And like to have a rookie quarterback and to not pay your best offensive player, like even though I'm in the crowd to not paying your running backs, it's a little different when you have an offensive rookie quarterback because their contract is minuscule compared to like when you actually pay a quarterback. So it's a little different.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think this is just a terrible situation for Anthony Richardson to walk into. I hope he succeeds because he'll be one of the like more fun players to watch, but it's gonna be tough.
I agree.
I like how Nate said that he had to reassure himself that this team was absolute dog shit. I just love that. I'm also at the under.
All right, I feel a little weird. I feel left out. But just watch the Ewing theory. This happens not a lot in football, but it happens in basketball every year. It happens in a lot of different sports. So watch the Ewing.
I can see the Ewing theory work if it wasn't a position that had such little impact. I don't think running back can affect your team. We've talked about the running backs. You guys know the whole spiel with that. But
Yeah, I'm actually gonna take this next team, and we're gonna stay in the division, and we're gonna go down to Jacksonville, and we're gonna talk about the Jaguars. And I have their over.
Hammering.
I actually have quite a few notes about the Jaguars just because I feel like this is one of just the better young teams coming up. They're in the process of becoming real contenders. We can start with their head coach, who is Doug Peterson, former Super Bowl winner. He led the Eagles to a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles at the helm. Just think about that for a second. And I know Carson Wentz had a great season, but other than that, he won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And then, like, the next best young quarterback outside of Joe Burrow, like, I'm talking about young, like, hasn't got paid yet, is Trevor Lawrence. On top of that, with, like, just their receiving corps of Calvin Ridley, Evan Ingram, who had a breakout in Jacksonville, Christian Kirk, who also had a breakout last year. Their offensive line is a bit shaky, but I think with just the amount of elite weapons that he has around him, not elite, but just like really good weapons, the offensive line, they can cover up a little bit. And then on top of that, they have one of the young, more lengthy and speedy defenses in the entire league. I like a lot of the players that they have over there. And I think they're easily going to win their division.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I 100% agree with everything you just said, Nate. I'm hammering. Like, if I had to pick a fifth lock, I'm hammering this as an over for the Jags. I think they're going to clean sweep, easily take their division. Probably one of the best promising young teams in the league right now. I think it's going to be a real good breakout year for Lawrence with Ridley coming back. A lot of people forget about him for being gone from here, but bro's a freaking route runner. He's going to spread that field, let Christian Kirk do his thing, and like you said, Evan Ingram had a breakout. I think they have too much offensive firepower as well as a fasty, speedy defense to put it together to not win that division. So I'm hammering the over if I'm a better here.
I agree. Over.
Over as well. I'll take the next one. It's kind of a bold prediction here for the Raiders. I'm actually would hammer this under. I think the Raiders season kind of blows up in their face. We already are seeing with Josh Jacobs. I think he was the heart of that team last year. That situation with him right now is not going very great. I can see Devontae Adams requesting a trade mid-season. That's just my bold prediction. I think Jimmy Garoppolo could not be healthy. So I think this team could fall to, that 3-4 wins if this team, because my prediction is that they blow up.
I know Dom's going to completely disagree, but I'm on the same boat as you, James. I completely agree with anything you said, but I know Dom's going to
Get your unders off.
Hey, I'm under.
All right, this one of my locks was over. I just think Josh Jacobs is gonna play. I think he needs to play. I think everything that is coming out right now is that he's not gonna play, and I think he's gonna play. That's just being down right there.
That's also the nature of the NFL. It's tough to hold out like that.
Right. And they have, I forget what Devontae Adams was ranked on the top 100, but if Devontae was in the top 25, I'm not 100% sure, but they would have 3 top 25 players. Max Crosby, by players, I'm not saying we don't have to debate this, was above Myles Garrett. That's how good this guy really is.
He's right up there.
Max Crosby is legit. So when you have a pass rusher, a running back that, okay, he might not change the field that much, but the fact of the matter is he gets touchdowns. And I think Jimmy G, if he stays healthy, that's a 7, 8, 9 win team for me. Lock it in. That's all I'll say. All right, the Chiefs, they are 11.5. I have an over.
Yeah.
Over as well for me.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Chiefs probably the number 1 team in the league right now, just because of their quarterback alone and their offense. We're hammering that over here, but the only way I can see this losing is injury prone with some type of end. But yeah, easy over.
They're the reigning champs.
The Chargers, 9.5. I went over. A little bit on the Chargers real quick is I just think even with the cancer that is Brian Staley, I think that is a tough division. They will come out with above 10 to 11 wins. So I think they'll stay healthy.
It's their year. I think they're just ready to make that playoff run. The Chargers are too talented to not. And I think if you're a better, you're taking over here. And honestly, if they lost here, I'd be pissed. And that whole coach, and they're going to sweep house with coaching there.
Yeah.
The Chargers have a prove it year. They're going to have to win. If they don't win, the coach knows that they're gone. So I'm hammering the over here as a better.
I think 9.5 is another tough line because I said under here, just because I think the Chargers are one of the most overrated teams in the NFL every single year. They have the pieces in place to definitely go on a run, but until they really prove it to me, I cannot believe in them. I can't.
So it's more of an avoid the line for you right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't even touch it.
Yeah, another cursed NFL team.
I'm with the over as well for the Chargers. 10 wins is exactly where I see them at. I think they're a wild card team just like last year. I kind of put them in the same boat as the Browns. I think they have one of the most talented rosters, but it's what are you going to do with it? You haven't proved anything. I think the coaching staff's gone either way because I don't see them even probably winning a playoff game. I think they finished right where they did last year, so I think the coaching staff's gone either way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think a lot of the fan base is ready for that as well when it comes to their coaching. So
the Rams 6.5. I went over. Not too much to talk about for me there. I just think a couple things is Van Jefferson might have a big year with Cooper Kupp being injured, and Stafford's gonna play and might get him a couple wins. So
yeah, this is a tough line. If I were to better, I would also kind of avoid this one as a line. If I were to pick, I would take an over, just assuming they're all healthy. Cooper Kupp, we all know what he does. He's a route magician. He'll get open some way, somehow. But that alone leaves the receivers to be open. Like you said, Van Jefferson could break out a little bit. And even then, Matthew Stafford, he's a decent quarterback. He's one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league. I think
he used to play on crappy teams.
Yeah, he did. And as soon as you put him on a good Rams team, we've seen what happened. So I don't know. I think this is a perfect line for him. Hard as a better, but I would take the over for now, but I would avoid it.
I'm going to piggyback off of what y'all just said. I'm going to take the under because this team is literally on talent On paper, like this team is no different than any of the Lions teams that Matthew Stafford played with, and he made the playoffs once with the Lions. So,
Yeah.
I think after just selling out for that Super Bowl, this team's gonna be trash for the next probably 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can see that point of view as well.
I'm with you on that. It's kind of a hard line considering you don't know if Matthew Stafford's going to be 100% and Cooper Kupp. If they are, I mean, I can see him being an 8-win team, but you got to kind of assume the worst. So I'd put the under as well.
Dolphins 9.5. I went over. It really all the questions involved to it. So to me, I'm betting on the kid. Give me the over.
And you go the opposite direction. I'm gonna take the under. I think that the Dolphins, the Chargers, and the Browns are all three AFC teams you can kind of lump into the same category of like. If I told you to pick two teams confidently out of that selection to make the playoffs, that's tough. Like I can't. I just think they're on a similar boat. They have all the talent in the world to put it together. It just all comes down to like Tua's play at the end of the day.
No, I agree. But if I was to pick a better, I really like the Dolphins roster. I really do. Offense and defense wise, I think they are probably right up there with like Bengals and you can even say the Vikings. I think they have one of the best receiving corps in the league. I think they're right up there, top 5 for sure. I think their offensive firepower alone is going to win them games. But Tua, there are a lot of questions with his health. We've seen him get like 3 concussions last year alone. So I don't know. It's a lot of. I agree with you. I would put those 3 teams in the same pickle. But if I was a better, I'd put the Dolphins. That's an over for now.
All right, the Vikings 8.5. As a Vikings fan, do not bet this line, but give me the over.
I'd lock this over. I mean, they finished with 13 wins last year. I don't know what possibly diminishes them from not getting or getting 5 less wins.
Yeah.
They're getting a new defense. They lost Thielen. They lost a little bit on the interior defense, but other than that, I mean, I still think they finished with 10, 11 wins.
Yeah.
I'm going to give my thoughts just really quick. And, Dom, I love you so much, and I don't hate the Vikings by any means. I really love your offense, if anything. I think if I was a better, though, I'm taking it under here. I think you finished right around the 7 or 8 range this year. And this is just my opinion alone. I think the defense is what I question a lot on the Vikings right now. I think their offense is proven. I think they're going to score. I really think the Vikings can score and fight them games. But I just question really like how much this defense can stop. I know it's a little bit new, but new is also kind of scary as a better, not knowing exactly what to put. So I'm going to put them as an under here. And it's no hate against the Vikings because I actually like the Vikings team a lot. It just
I can't be mad because there's so many questions.
there is.
I'm going to say the over though. I just feel like their offense is too talented to not put up enough points to win 9 games.
Yeah.
I'm also in the mindset that like if you can score enough points, at some point defense just doesn't matter. The Chiefs have done that over and over again.
Yeah.
So I just think 8.5. I think they'll go the over.
All right, Patriots 7.5.
Under.
Under for you.
I think they finished 6 to 7 wins. Tough division, tough conference. Matt Jones hasn't proved it to me that he can, I mean, if you're putting them at 8 to 9 wins, I mean, you're saying that they have the potential to make the playoffs. I know they have a great coaching staff, but I don't believe in Mac Jones.
I exactly agree with you, James. I don't think their offense is too. I think I really like their defense, and it's under Bill Belichick. We all know how he is the coach, probably the best coach in the game right now. I think, honestly, their coaching alone is going to win them games. But I'm not high on the Patriots. Like you said, hard division. I'm taking the under here. I'm putting them around the 5 to 7 range for wins this year.
Under. This is I put over, but this is a definitely do not bet. Like, the defense is elite. Belichick is elite, but their offense is trash.
Yeah, I'm gonna say over just based on one thing. Matt Patricia was calling plays last year. That was a big mistake, and we'll see if Bill O'Brien can make up for all those mistakes. But give me the over. The Saints 9.5. I went under. I think the Derek Carr ride is over, so give me the under.
Yeah, I'm also with the under as well. Again, I think all those teams besides the Bucks finish all around that 7, 8 to 9 range.
Yeah.
With this, you're saying that they're going to be winning 10 games. I just don't think that's realistic for the Saints.
This team's window was 3-4 years ago.
Bro,
Yeah,
this one's a
the
tough
rules
line.
and stuff.
I'm not over on Derek Carr yet. I like the Saints roster, especially their offense. I love their offense a lot. I seen Lattimore was playing really good recently as well. I don't know. This one's if I were to pick as a better, I would avoid this line. But honestly, I'm gonna take them over. I really think they're gonna win this division, be in the playoffs. So that's just my thoughts.
Oh man, gotta take the lead on this one.
We'll take this.
So FanDuel has the Giants at 7.5. Obviously, homer pick here. I think that's going to be a hammer for the over. We do have a real tough schedule this year.
Yeah.
I think we get to that 8 to 9 range, potentially miss the playoffs. A hard division, but I think we do get to 8 wins.
This is my fourth and final lock. Give me the over. Crappy division, and I think Giants.
Crappy division.
I mean, crappy conference, but yeah, that's one of my locks.
Yeah, I'm taking over here for the Giants. I like the additions they added offensive wise. I think Darren Waller is gonna really succeed there. It's hard to not taking over, seeing how the Giants play last year. I was really surprised by them. So I think with even more talent added, I just think they're going to be – I know it's a little bit harder of a schedule and it's a hard conference, but I think they're one of those dog teams that can really win those close games. So I'm going to put them around like 8 to 9.
I try to keep it real as much as possible. I genuinely think you're a dumbass if you take the under for the Giants. I think 7.5, that is so easy for them to get to. Like, I know you said that it was a tough schedule, but outside of the Eagles, like in the NFC, like who is there?
I mean, just for the Giants, quick though, like our out-of-conference schedule, we're playing the AFC East, so we're playing the Dolphins, Patriots, Bills, and Jets, and then you're going to have to play the Eagles twice a year, the Cowboys twice a year, play 49ers. So when you kind of add up all those games, I mean, you can pick out, probably 6 L's right there.
Right.
So it's going to be tough. It's going to be good to see how Daniel Jones and Brian Daboll, adjust to it.
Yeah. All right, the Jets are our next one. Couple more here for y'all. 9.5. I actually had over written down. I picked way too many AFC overs, so give me the under on this one. Somebody has to fall.
Really?
Yeah.
This one's tough. I like the Jets roster. I really do, offense and defense. I'm taking the over here. I think this is a way better situation for A-Rod. I know he's he's older this year, but I think Garrett Wilson instantly defines almost as like Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams for this team. I think Garrett Wilson's going to have a breakout year. He got all the receivers they wanted. They followed all his accommodations he wanted for the team. Defense is really good. I see the Jets actually making a playoff run as long as they're healthy, so I'm taking it over here.
Yeah, I'm taking it over. Hot take, real quick. Jets do better than Chargers, Dolphins, and Browns.
And
Very hot take.
And they apologizes to the receivers of the Jets.
And the Browns are beating
Yes. I mean, when you have Aaron Rodgers, he's going to make you look better than what you actually
He will.
Jets over as well for me. Next team we got here is the Eagles, 11.5. It's tough because I think they are the best team in football right now.
I agree.
But 12 wins is a lot.
It is.
But I still would, if you have to put money on it, I'd still take the over. But it's just so hard to repeat, year after year, winning 12 games.
Yeah.
2 years in a row. So,
Yeah, no.
I'd still go the over, though.
I'm going to take the over. They're the most talented team.
Under my head, give me the over.
Yeah. Enough said. Talented team in the league. They're an over for sure.
No, this might
And I think
be controversial.
their defense is insane. Oh, let me get into this one. I'm going to start this one. We have the Steelers here at an 8.5 over under. Logan, I know you're watching this, and all you other Steelers fans, I'm so sorry because I know you guys are watching this too. Taking the under. Y'all are going to be the worst in the division. It's a pretty clear-cut day. All the 3 teams are way better than you guys. I'm so happy I can say that now. Taking Steelers under. I'm putting them around 5-6 wins this year. Kenny's going to throw another picket for sure.
Go ahead, Nick.
I'm taking the under too. I feel like you shouldn't bet against Tomlin, but
Yeah.
I am.
Under for me as well.
I'm actually going to go over here. I like Coach Tomlin. I think they're the sneaky team this year. I think they can reach that 9 to 10 wins and surprise a lot of people.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, James. I actually really like. We all know Tomlin's right up there as one of the best coaches in the league. He's never had a losing season actually, so it's hard to actually take an under against this. I was being a little hostile at the beginning. I'm sorry, but I'm just being 100% brutally honest though. When it comes to the Steelers, you are the worst team in like the AFC North currently right now. I think the other three teams have way better weapons and they're ready to go for like a playoff run. So it's going to be a hard year for the Steelers. It's hard to, because you're talking 6 games alone that you're going to have to play trying to win those games. I think you almost lose all of them. I think you maybe clinch 1 or 2, maybe one against the Browns or one against the Ravens. But yeah, I'm taking the under here for sure.
I'm gonna grab this next team real quick just because this is my last and my fourth and final lock, and I'm gonna take the 49ers under. I don't know if we have any 49ers listeners, but I just want to start off by simply saying the 49ers. But now that I got my emotions out of the way, let's get down to business. So Kyle Shanahan is truly one of the more elite coaches. There's only a handful, and I would throw him in that category. I think just he's been able to win a lot of regular season games and take his team far, even though they haven't won one. But this is one of the most talented teams I've seen in recent memory that confidently, like, who their quarterback is. I understand Brock Purdy is listed as the starter, but he was Mr. Irrelevant. And then you have Trey Lance behind him, who you wasted a bunch of picks for, and he's not even starting. And then Sam Darnold, who his chance to really redeem his career was with the Panthers a few years ago. So I'm not a believer in the Niners, and I think, 11.5, 10.5, that's just too high.
Yeah. I'm with Nate. Give me the under.
I'm going to go over here.
It's hard. I think the line's perfect. I think they're a 10-win team or 11-win team. I would avoid this bet, but if I were to put my money where my mouth is, I think they're too talented. I really do. I think I'm going to go with an over here.
All right. Seahawks, 8.5. This might sound a little weird, but under for me.
No, I'm in agreement with you. I don't think Geno Smith repeats that year. I don't.
Yeah, I'm also go under here. It's just, I think, not that it was a fluke year, but I just think a little regression starts to happen.
Yeah,
For sure.
I don't know. I think they got some new pieces. I think these lines are really good. I feel like they put them out because these are hard to bet.
That's how they
I
win money.
think they're 8 or 9 win team. I would avoid this, but honestly, I'm with y'all when it comes to money though. I'm gonna have to take the under. I don't think Geno's what he's worth, but I'm gonna go with that.
The Buccaneers, 6.5. I went under. I think that's going to be pretty selfish.
There's Baker Nears
Yeah,
under
under.
6.5.
Hammer.
Under. We all know how Baker is and Browns fans.
All right, last 2, fellas. The Titans, 7.5. I went over. Big Rabel fan. Nate hates them because, they got beef, but it's cool. Give me the over.
Give me the under.
Yeah, I'm hammering the under when it comes to the Titans. I think they're too young, too many questions, regressing. Quarterback questions in there as well. There's too many questions. It's an under for sure here.
I think, it just comes on. There's too many question marks everywhere. Their defense isn't very good.
Last one, boys. Washington Redskin Commandees. Started off kind of controversial with this one. Commanders hammering, lock it in under. I think the Commanders, they had a pretty decent season last year, but question marks at quarterback with Sam Howell. Chase Young, where everyone remembers he wants to trade. Management's poor. Stadium's poor.
It got sold.
It's one of those, Raiders situations where it's like, are we just going to blow up the franchise mid-season? I'm all for it.
Right.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's hammered under.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Sam Howell, can he win 7 games? I don't think so.
Sophomore year, he was like a, 3rd-round pick, 2nd-round pick, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he was actually pretty solid when he did come in. But y'all, there's a lot going on with the Commanders. It's a hammering under here.
I actually took over, but I guess I'm in love with the Ewing theory potential. You just never know. So give me the over. But yeah, that was our over-unders, y'all. Don't text me, call me for any betting advice, but just watch this podcast. How about that, y'all? Subscribe, like, comment down below anything y'all want to see in the next future episodes. Those really are. Peace.
Peace.